The US always nowadays advocates for peace, right? Well, that's at least what they plus their buddies in the good old honest legacy media will have you believing, or at least want you to believe. Now, if you somehow, at this point, after seeing a lot of things that have unfolded over the past couple of years, still somehow believe that our government actually gives a shit about people other than themselves and the majority of the people within it, well, then you might want to take your socks off for this one, because this is going to be a pretty wild ride.
Yeah, baby! Yeah.
It's definitely something that you want to know about the Middle Eastern conflict between Israel and Hamas, or Israel, Gaza, whatever you want to call it. And it definitely highlights a bit more of the true nature, many of us would argue, of the U.S. government. The continuing bombardment of innocent Palestinians and or Israelis in the Gaza Strip, as well as, just attacks on Israelis as well, too, just needs to stop. This stuff should not be continuing more than anything, because it's just totally uncalled for, especially on Israel's part. I feel like you guys will be pretty happy to hear that the US, all by itself, in a United Nations meeting, vetoed a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. And this was pretty recently, too. Such great news, right? Now even more innocent people will continue to die, and not just from starvation either. Israel strikes in Gaza continue. The US vetoes unusual UN ceasefire resolution. The strikes come just hours after the US stood alone against an unusual UN resolution that called for an immediate ceasefire. More than 17,700 Palestinian people have died in Gaza during the Israel-Hamas war, according to the latest figures from the health ministry in the Hamas-controlled territory. And it wouldn't be the first time that the U.S. has just completely, pushed for war so they can continue to increase the wallets of their buddies in the arms dealers and the weapon manufacturers like Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, etc. Oh, and also, by the way, the UK decided to be impartial this time on the whole issue. And it's a bit ironic on that too, because think about the fact of the matter how the Prime Minister over in the UK recently secured contracts shortly after all this stuff started going on in Israel to control and process oil with BP in the Israeli sort of province, or just that whole general area, you feel me, is really, really shortly afterwards. And it's just a private matter, despite the fact, it was taxpayer dollars went into securing those licenses, by the way. But this is really for their family and stuff like that, to help his wife, since they have decent connections with BP. It's just something that's a little ironic that the UK was just like, oh, we're just going to be impartial this time. So you guys want a durable peace, but you're okay with the bombardment of innocent civilians and the starvation of innocent civilians due to the bombardment of a corrupt president? Yeah, it sounds like you guys are totally for durable peace, doesn't it? Not at all, maybe for, I don't know, sales and money gains for the military-industrial complex, and I don't know how many members in Congress that invested in their stocks. It doesn't take very much brain power to realize that you can't justify the bombardment of thousands to hundreds of thousands of innocent Palestinians and or Israelis, you feel me, too, in addition to the starvation, simply because of one event, you feel me. You can't just kill buttloads of innocent people that have nothing to do with it. This is worse than what Hamas did, arguably, overall, if you look at the whole big picture. Either way, both of them really messed up for doing it, and it should not be continuing.
Cross your head if infamy is what you seek, and propaganda is what you see.